For me, it's a great pleasure to be here and to share with you my knowledge and my experience about the process, the integration process in Latin America. Is intimately related to the history and to the history and to the time, the different process, political and economical of Latin America. It's our own process which has a very interesting history, and there are many theories in political science that try to explain, to account how was the conformation of this process. The integration of Latin America was a political project that was from the beginning of the constitution of the nation states in Latin America. Was the project omnipresent in Latin America, especially with the Bolivarian project, Simón Bolívar, who was the liberator or the hero of the independence of many countries in Latin America. He created a project of confederation of nations, which would be basically to create a federation of all the recently independent nations. So Bolívar was thinking about a republic of nations, a kind of confederation, which had two main objects: to constitute a geopolitical entity with a religion, a culture, and a language common. I mean that he was to try to integrate the countries through a constitution and through the political ideas. Ancient territories of Spain, of the Spanish Empire, were completely fragmented, and it was a geographical space very difficult to communicate between each other. So it was not really an idea, a consensus about which kind of regime, of which kind of confederation would be the better for the best for Latin America, for each country. At that moment emerged the first wave of regionalism in South America, which the name is ALAC. ALAC, which is the translation is ALADI, is the Association Latin American of Integration, to push for an integration from the other bases than for example, the political project of Bolívar. I mean that the main force or the main force of the integration will be economic, which is the market common of Central America. Yeah, market common of Central America, which is located mainly in the Istmo, in the Mesoamerica, or the Central America region. A common market, but also a kind of security community against the Cuban regime, which in 1958. Through the revolution, the Cuban Revolution, become communist. This new project is constituted by the CAN. CAN is a community, Andean community of nations, which the predecessor was the Andean Pact. The Andean Pact was born in 1979 with the Cartagena agreement. From very well at the beginning of this project, they constitute a very important process in an economical and political level, in the way that they integrated not only all the scheme or on a schedule for liberalization and openness in terms of economic, but they create also very important institutions. They create a parliament, for example. This was the first project of a parliament. The CARICOM is a community that they are coming from the ancient or former territories colonized by the British Empire. The third wave of regionalism is what we call the open regionalism. It was very influenced and this was very made about the ideas, these ideas that coming from the Washington Consensus. I mean about the neoliberal ideology. They take as the main theories the neoclassical theory of the economic, which put basically that the increasing of the exchange of goods, services, and workforce will necessarily to promote the growth in all the countries. Mercosur appeared for first time in 1991, which integrate basically 4 countries, which is Brazil, Paraguay, Argentina, and Uruguay. Mercosur is also a project that try to create an intra-regional terms of exchange with an openness to the global market. So at the beginning of 2000, the beginning of 2000, it emerged a new moment in Latin America that start to criticize and to review carefully this idea of neoliberal project. Start the 4th wave of regionalism, which I will call it the post-liberal regionalism, which are basically new projects that emphasize or stress. So appear ALBA. ALBA is the Latin American alternative, the Bolivarian alternative for this America. This is a project launched by Venezuela, especially by the President Chavez in 2005, which integrated many countries, 8 countries until now. 8 countries which are Venezuela, Cuba, Nicaragua, Ecuador, Bolivia, and other countries which, as the same name put it, is an alternative project of integration which emphasizes the social and the political integration. It's appeared too at the very recently in 2007, UNASUR, which is the first project, if you want, that try to integrate the 2 areas that were sub-regionalized or were integrated. That is the Andean region, which is constituted by Venezuela, Colombia, Ecuador, Peru, and Bolivia, and the other part that is integrated in Mercosur, which is Brazil, Paraguay, Argentina, and Uruguay. So, la comunidad de estados latinoamericanos y caribeños is the Latin American, Caribbean and Latin American community of states, which the creation was very recently on December 2011, which is the meeting in Caracas, and which finally we see that there are an interest of this region to constitute, from Mexico to Argentina to all Latin America, a community of states. How Latin America, which the same time the project of integration appeared at the same time than the European model, the European project, and they didn't achieve the same results in America. We know that, for example, in theory of integration, that we need basically 3 movements for have an integration and interdependence between countries or between the states, the states that make part of the process, for the integration process. It's a model that I think is shared by the three main theory in regionalism theories. Is that this model is shared by the intergovernmentalism, by the neo-functionalism, the neo-idealism. They agree that we have this kind of development. Most of the exports of Latin America are going out of the region. I mean, most of the production of the Latin American countries are going to other markets than the internal market. All is going to United States or to Europe as the main destination of the production. So the level of interdependence of the countries were, I mean, prior to the integration, were very slow, and even when the integration was established, that continued to go lower than when the integration process was not established. And the last one, I think the last cause of the regionalism of the failure of the regionalism in Latin America can be the inadequate institutionalization. Sometimes following the theory of the neo-functionalism, which explain basically that there is an spillover that can appear. My conclusion I would like to conclude with some lessons that coming from the process of the experience of the Latin America experience, which the first one is the regionalism integration is a process, it's not a product. It's always a processing. It's a work that is always working. I mean, it's a process that we need to construct. It's not something that is already done, already make it. We have a religion, and language, and a cultural, and we are in a cultural community, but that is not enough to make a process of integration. This is important because sometimes we have the idea that small countries cannot be integrate with the big countries because there is a difference, an asymmetry in terms of the change. The regional integration is basically an endogenous process, but it can be critically vulnerable to exogenous forces, especially in these initial stages. This is important also because sometimes big hegemons or big countries can interfere in the process of integration. Like, for example, the evident case in Latin America is the United States. United States in some way can push to an integration or can block a process of integration in the terms of they account for a very large market in the United States. There is a new impetus in the regional integration in Latin America that start in the last 10 years. I think it's too early today for judge if that is a good way or not. But we are seeing, as I tried to show you, that we start in 19th century with a political project that there is not only the European model of integration. I think in Latin America can give a very nice experience to the other parts of the world. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Now we will open